everyone, thank you for coming back to my channel. Please make sure you like and subscribe, it really helps me out. Today we're going to be looking at this Westfalia Purifier. When I joined the ship, both port side and starboard purifiers were not working. These are lube oil purifiers, we can also run them for fuel oil. But in my handover notes I was basically told that they both stopped working. They'd overhauled them, changed the O-rings, and still they were not working. And you see this a lot on ships where people get problems with the purifiers and straight away they're just going to change the O-rings. From my own experience I found that usually the O-rings last the intervals of the purifiers, and if both have gone at the same time and stopped working, then highly unlikely to be a coincidence on both. One thing that both do share is water, and so first thing I'm checking is the water supply for both purifiers. Here I've removed the filter. It was actually quite clean. I think it must have been removed by the other team and cleaned, and I've just flushed through the line, make sure there's no debris going to come back in there. Here I'm just checking the filter and get this fitted back up now. So yeah, on these there's a right way and a wrong way to fit them in, so just make sure you've got the copper end on band up against the bolt, and then just nip it up. Doesn't need to be too tight as long as it's not leaking. Got a copper gasket on there. So that's done. Next thing I check, another real easy check, is the feed water. You can see we've got a solenoid valve, hose, and then a non-return valve at the top feeding into the top of the purifier there. So I'm just going to remove this one-way valve at the top of the purifier now. So I'll just mention as well that before doing any work on this, I never actually ran it because I was told it was leaking fuel oil into the sludge tank. I just looked at the alarm history and I could see they were related to water as well, so that was a big clue. But I'll talk a bit more about that later on in the video. So now I just need to open the water supply, manually actuate the solenoid, see what sort of flow we have coming out of here. So you can see better now. There's maybe there was two streams coming out, but not a lot of water at all. Indicating to me that there's some sort of blockage in this one-way valve, which means our feed water at the start of the cycle is in the correct amount of water, and as such our water interface is going to be pushed further out and let oil escape, which is what the problem was. So take a bit of time to think here about what I'm going to do next, and I think I'm going to remove the whole hose, remove the one-way valve for the hose, test the solenoid, make sure that there's no blockage in there. We'll clean the hose out, just by flushing the water from the solenoid valve, and then once that's done I'll go and clean up the non-return valve, get it refitted, tested, and yeah, see what it's looking like from there. So here now I'm just opening the solenoid valve again, making sure I've got good flow out of there, the problem isn't there, and that's clear. And if you look closely you can see in the video there's plenty of pressure at the solenoid valve there, as there should be. And then next up then, I'm going to refit the hose and flush that through, make sure that the obstruction is in the hose. I think I had an alarm at this point and I have to go deal with that, so back in I come, take off the one-way valve first and then we'll test out the hose. And this is just a little bit hidden by a fuel flow meter, but it's literally just undoing a union. Where I had them camera mounted on the first shot, I kept falling off, so I've had to remount it a bit lower down, and it's maybe not as good an angle to show you this part, but I think you can see adequately enough what I'm doing. Just worth mentioning as well, if you're going to be doing any work like this, have the purifier isolated, they need to work in place. I don't want any accidents at your work, so yeah, here now, refitting the hose to our solenoid valve, give it a quick nip up. Yeah, and then we'll just flush this hose, test it, make sure that the obstruction is not in the hose. Pretty sure it's in the valve anyway. But, there we are, you can see plenty of flow, plenty of pressure, which just confirms that the problem we have is with this one-way valve, and most likely the purifier on the starboard side as well. Both share the same water line going in, and must have picked up a bit of rust in the pipe or something. We've got copper pipes running all up into the accommodation, but feeding into the engine room we have steel pipes, so we do have a problem where every now and again they pick up a bit of rust, and that'll clog up the water on the purifiers. So on this ship, when we have a problem, main place to check is usually the water. Get that sorted, and like I said, the O-rings and everything else, they usually last at least their service interval, if not beyond that. So I'll clean out, clean the valve, refit it to the end of the hose now, and then we'll open the solenoid valve, confirm that's working as it should be. To clean it, I just use some needle files and pressed here, nothing too special. So yeah, it's probably easier to tighten it back up when you fit it on the purifier itself, but because I wanted to take a look at the operating water underneath, I don't have to refit, just take it off again. But manually open the solenoid now, you can see there's a lot more water there, and that's what you should be looking at getting. If it doesn't look like that, then yeah, you've got a problem with your valve, or possibly your solenoid or the filter. If you have outflow valve purifiers, they use orifices in their water blocks, and you can get them blocked up sometimes. So as mentioned earlier, we've got two water inlets into the purifier. The feed water through the top, and we have operating water going in from the bottom to basically eject the bowl. And if the feed water valve was clogged, just to be belt and braces, or open up, pull the bowl and clean out that nozzle as well, and then hopefully it'll be okay. As I overhaul it or open it up, I'm going to be following the manual through, double checking everything. I've overhauled these countless times, but every time it's just worth double checking the manual, going through slowly, making sure you don't miss anything off. Torque everything little pound that has a torque value. Keep the work area nice and tidy, and before you restart I like to take account of all the tools I've used, make sure there's no parts that have been missed out. Yeah, if you do that, make sure all your alignment marks are lined up, then you're not going to have any issues. So just taking out the top of the centrifugal pump, the spindle, and now we're going to open up the bowl hood. 3 bolts hold it down, and yeah, these are real quick to pull the bowl out. So I've got the bowl open up, just do a quick visual inspection. You can see, pick the camera up now, show a bit closer. The top ring there, I'm not sure whether that's grease mixed with water or someone's put too much grease or what it is, to be honest. I've never seen one look like that when I've opened up before, but they indicated, I thought maybe we had a different problem, but yeah, I think it was just too much grease put in by the other person who overhauled it. So I'll slacken off this ring now, a left hand thread on it, so going right loosely this time, and again just referring back to the manual, double check what I'm doing. Everything's in the correct order. I've got to be real careful with these left hand threads, right hand threads, that when you're trying to loosen something off, you're actually loosening it and not tightening it more. And yeah, we'll carry on going through this, take out the whole centrifugal pump, and then we can lift out the bowl. So yeah, that's the whole centrifugal pump assembly removed. As you can see, I'm wiping off the oil, and out of sight I'm just placing everything in neat order so I don't lose anything, and I know when I put it back it's going to be reversible, and just go through the parts piece by piece. Again, just doing a quick inspection inside, making sure everything looks okay. And the distributor ring on this one is always been cracked a little bit since I've joined the vessel, but just making sure that it's not any worse. And again, I can refer to the manual, see what the next step is, and you can see how hot it is by the sweat on my back. About 40 degrees in the engine room, and well, the purifier's been shut down for a long time, but the heat's off, so yeah, about 40 degrees in here. Yeah, it's all part of the job. So I'll just undo this nut or bolt that holds the bottom of the bolt of the spindle. Again, I think this is a left-hand thread. Spin the bowl round, just crack it off. There we are. Crack off. No need to hold the bowl. This threaded bar in now, tighten that down. That's going to basically break the seal of the bowl on the conical spindle. Once it's lifted up a little bit, we can lift it up. It's not too heavy, so I'm going to use the chain block for this. And you just lift it up like that, place it down, so we can check the nozzle for the operating water at the bottom. There's plenty of stages in the manual. It's written out for junior engineers to go through step by step, but as long as you keep going through it, don't miss anything out, then you'll be fine. So there you can see I've lifted the bowl out, another quick inspection inside, and I can see there's a bit of dirt, quite a bit of dirt in the nozzle. So next job's going to be to test what the water pattern is at the moment, and then we'll get to cleaning that out regardless. So I'm going to open the other solenoid valve now, see what comes out of here, what our spray can's like, how much pressure we have. You can see how rusty the water is. It's sprayed out, and it's come over towards the camera, but really that should be going almost directly up, touching the deck end. So we're losing pressure in the nozzle, it's not spraying as it should. It was full of rusty water. I'm giving it a quick clean with a rag, but the best thing to do is remove the nozzle completely, remove the hose like we did on the feed water. Flush through the hose, make sure it's clean, clean the nozzle out, and then refit and test again. And you can't see inside, it's just a union holding the nozzle on, so crack that off. So I've got the nozzle in my hand, just checking that fit at the moment. There's a little bit of like a sludge build-up inside there, so I'll just take the screwdriver and clean that out now. So that's the nozzle cleaned out, and the union, if you like, has a bolt through it. Try and get the screwdriver in there to pick out any dirt possible. You can also flush the water into the bottom of the bowl now with the nozzle off, and that should flush through anything that's loose, but if it's ground on dirt, which you get quite a lot of the time, then you have to go out at it with a screwdriver or something. Here you can see me picking out quite a few big chunks that are stuck inside, and they obviously going to be affecting the water pressure to the bottom. which control the ejection of the bolt. So again, just going through a bit more cleaning on this. Not very excited, but it takes time. But I definitely recommend every time you open the bolt, take it out, it's worth checking this, cleaning it up, because the last thing you want to do is overhaul the bolt and then have it not ejected, because when you have dirt in here, what I've found in the past is if you have, or if you fail to check this and you put in new O-rings, new polyamide seals, and something's going to be a bit more friction to open the bolt, and the water pressure can be not quite enough to get it open. Yeah, every time I've cleaned the water out I've not had any issues, but if you were to overlook it, then you can start thinking, or people start thinking that maybe the seal kit they fitted were wrong, or maybe they're old seals and they'll go through and retrain another set of seals just to have the same problems. And the seal kits aren't the cheapest thing in the world, so yeah, when you're going through it you want to be meticulous, make sure everything's clean. And the way it was described to me when I was a cadet is to give the machine every chance possible of working. So it's a little bit more time, but time well spent. And there I am, just flushing water through it, making sure there's no dirt, cleaning it all as much as possible. And the water in the bottom of this bowl will just go into our sludge tank, and we've got the wheeled-in pump set up next to that to drain that. That's on a timer and level switches. Yeah, I'm just cleaning out a bit more. My back is sweating even more, you can see how wet it is. And by testing this water or adding more water to the room, it just made it a lot more humid in there. Luckily watching on the video you can't feel that humidity, how bad it was. But yeah, just taking my time here to clean, make sure it's all clean, no excuse. Clean and flushing until the water's running clean and I've got good pressure coming out the bottom. Quite dirty, I would think quite a lot of cleaning on this. Looking back in hindsight would have probably been better or taken just as long to remove the whole union and then be able to clean that side. It's a little bit difficult to get out with the screwdriver when it's inside the bowl, just because the spindle's sticking up and restricting you a little bit, shall we say. It's not impossible to do, but yeah, it's probably a best practice to remove it completely and remove the hose off on the outside of that union. Yeah, another flush through now. Nothing too exciting. But there you can see it hit me in the face. There's a good pressure coming out. Open the solenoid a bit less. One last check for any more debris that have been washed up with that. And then this is the nozzle. see how it goes straight up, it's the deck end like it should. This is something you'll just get from experience over time, knowing what that spray should look like and whether it does need cleaning or whether there's any obstruction. If the obstruction's not in the nozzle, then it can be in your solenoid valve. Maybe it's not able to open properly, or it can be pre-filter, coarse filter in the line. There's a filter in the solenoid valve block itself as well on these. So plenty of places you'd have to check, and it's just a case of elimination. But yeah, checking what we had once the nozzle was removed, I was confident the valve block was clean. We've already checked the pre-filter. So get this nozzle fitted now. That should be lined up directly central with the middle of the shaft. I did move the camera to show you, but hopefully it will be the same as what it was when you removed it. If you remove it and it's at an angle or not completely pointed at the shaft, then it was wrong before. And again, that will affect the spray pattern you get. So there we are, the nozzle's fitted. Just going to do a test run now, make sure that spray pattern as we expect, we've got plenty of pressure. There we are. You can't see it as well from the camera, but a lot of that's going directly upwards, hitting the deck head. And I think, yeah, I'm just going to open the valve partially, make sure there's no debris coming. Making sure that spray's going directly at the centre of the shaft. And so there we are, I think that's our problem solved in those two there. I think maybe here I wasn't 100% happy with the spray pattern, so I'm just going to line it up a little bit better with the shaft. But yeah, very simple issue, two things that should have been spotted when it was overhauled at the oil exchange. In the manual it specifies that you should check the one-way valve. It doesn't specify this nozzle, because I guess under normal operation it shouldn't really get that choked up or blocked. But trust me, on whether it's Westfalia or Alpha valve, with enough time they do get a little bit blocked, and it's always worth checking that spray. There we are, that's it, I've got it aligned again, a bit better, tightened it up well. Just give the inside of the bowl a bit of wipe, keep the area clean and tidy. There we are, it's a bit hard to see the spray pattern in the video, doesn't capture the water that well, but yeah, that's me happy with it. Yeah, I considered fitting the bowl as it was, but took a quick look at it. You can see that the O there doesn't 100% line up with that O down below. Bowl hood needs to be tightened down a bit more. And the last thing I wanted to do was fit it and have something not aligned inside. The bowl's already out, so it's not too big a job. You know, I could just tighten it up a little bit more, but I thought I'd open it up, check inside, make sure everything that should be aligned is aligned properly. Chances are if you run it like that with just a little bit of a misalignment it'd be okay, but it's not professional, not the best way to leave it, and going back to giving it the best chance of working as it should, you want everything to be fit as it should. So it's not going to take me very long to open the bowl up, check everything, and then I know 100% that it's going back in correctly and won't have any issues, we hope. So yeah, get this stack compressed first, and then we'll open it up, see what we find inside. So here I'm using the big adjustable just to stop the bowl spinning, and then I've got a smaller adjustable using a hammer with it to compress the disc stack down. Should probably be using a properly sized hammer, spanner for this, sorry. But yeah, the adjustable is at hand, so use that. Remove the two allen screw nuts or plugs from the lid here. These were actually very tight to remove. I think maybe there's a little bit of damaged thread inside. Usually once you break them off they spin out quite quickly. But yeah, there we are. Put them to one side, keep them safe. And same with this one, it's a little bit stiff to come, not as bad as the other side. And then, as I've done throughout the whole video, refer back to the manual, double check everything. Right now I'm just repairing the tool, or the hood spanner, that's called. Get that fitted, and then if you're following the manual you'll know that not to cover the O mark when you fit it, otherwise it'll go into a bit of a problem when you try to, well, when you loosen it up, see whether it's moving, and then when you tighten up to be able to align it back to the bowl again. So yeah, Juan's just arrived with some trays to put the disc stack in, see if they need cleaning. Yeah, you can actually see on this hood spanner it's slightly bent down. Wasn't like that last time, so I think someone's been absolutely smashing at this, bent the spanner a bit, and in turn probably damaged the threads in the bowl hood where those plugs were, where the 17 goes in. But I'm just showing one misalignment on the bowl hood and the reason why we're going to open this up. So yeah, if the disc stack's compressed properly, you don't need a big hammer, massive force. I use our copperhead mallet just so not as to damage the tool too much. And then once again I'm using the big adjustable spanner, hold the bowl, stop it from turning. And when you're using the hammer, it's actually quite hard to feel how much you're spinning it around every time. And left hand thread again, so going right to loosen it clockwise. There we are, starting to come quite easy. And one comes along and insists on holding it. I think it's actually easier if you hold the spanner yourself, because you can brace yourself for the impact, whereas when someone else is holding it, it's not quite as easy. But yeah, I'll get this lifted off now, take a look inside. So I'm not going to bother removing the hood spanner that we've attached. Got the wooden platform, if you like, in front of the lathe, so I don't need to put any bits of wood down. I can just place everything on top of there. Looking in the bottom of the bowl, there was quite a bit of sludge where the bowl hadn't ejected properly before they shut it down. But the discs themselves are quite clean. You can see it's not run at all, I think, since it's been overhauled. Literally just, and the bowl filled, bit of oil, bit of water, and then it's sat in there. So I'll loosen off the disc stack now, uncompress it, and then we can lift off the tool, take out the distributor, and then finally lift out the disc stack. So yeah, that's our distributor stack lifted off. Quite hard to see from here, but the plates are actually very clean. I've just put some gloves on to lift them off because they can have razor sharp edges on them. So just save cutting your hands open. And then, yeah, I think I've been calling the top ring wrong, the separating ring I think it's called. The distributor is the bit that the discs sit on, so apologies for that. But yeah, just go through, give everything a quick clean. Double check all the O-rings, make sure they're in good condition. Everything should be. Main thing to check is that there's no twists in the O-ring. When you fit them, you should run around with a little peg or something, take out any twists in them that could occur. But in this one, found everything okay in terms of the O-rings. So now I'm just greasing up the thread at the bottom to fit the tool to remove, I can't remember what it's called, either the, no, name evades me. Yeah, it's either the annular piston or the water slide, I can't remember. And yeah, just referring back to the manual there again. Being 100% sure on everything we do. So yeah, lift that out, just have a quick check, make sure everything looks okay on it. And then, if I remember correctly, the bottom of this was stained quite bad from dirty water that we saw when we testing out the operating water. And I think from the top side, this is as far as I strip it down. I just quickly checked the bolts at the bottom aren't loose. I think they're tight enough to like 25 Newton meters off the top of my head, but I've just got an extension bar, trying to turn them as hard as I can by hand, and if they come loose you'll feel it. So there we are, now I can check that everything's aligned. I don't tear down this anymore, we flip the bowl on the side down and have a look at this water chamber. And just having a quick look inside this, see how dirty it is. You've got channels inside there that'll feed up. Also I'll mention now while I remember that you have small holes in the side of the bowl. You want to be checking that, making sure that these are clear as well. So there's quite a bit of rubbish in the Allen head bolts holding this on, so I'm just cleaning these out first. So we get the clinky end full depth, make sure we're not going to round off anything. So there again, I was just checking the bolt tightness. When I inspected it, I think it must have been quite clean looking, so I didn't bother removing that anymore. So now it's just time to get it back together. I can see looking inside that the O is lined up. You have a O on the bottom as well, make sure that's lined up. All that's okay. So it's just going to be a case of putting the bowl back together, refitting it, and seeing if it works. So yeah, the most critical part of these Westfalias is getting this disc tap compressed, because when you compress it down, if you move that top ring, it's not going to line up. And yeah, if you've got to use excessive force to tighten down the bolt hood, then chances are that top ring's moved. And yeah, by tightening that down, maybe with a big hammer or something, you're just going to end up damaging something inside. So just tighten down by hand to compress the disc stack, and then just use a small hammer, slowly close, grease the threads up well. Here you can see I'm just greasing the threads up, making it as easy as possible to close, using the grease that's in the pack, the overhaul packs. So here I am, fit the hood. Remember, it's the left hand thread, but spin it around first, get it to drop onto the thread, and then just start slowly tightening it down. In case you're wondering why I'm doing this in the workshop, not in the purifier room, the only reason is that the workshop is air conditioned and it's a lot nicer environment to work in, and the bowl's not too heavy to have to carry over to the workshop, and you've got tools nearby as well. But yeah, the main reason is the air conditioning here. So retighten down this bowl hood spanner, and now ready to just tap it closed. I think last half turn or something to go with a hammer. You can see here I'm just giving the disc stack a final compressing, just to make this bowl hood as easy as possible to tighten down. Using two spanners again, holding one with my leg and hammering the other one. As you can see, I put about half a turn of compression on that. There we are, give it a quick tap, and then I'm going to use this big spanner again to hold it down. And the beauty of this, the way it works, is if that spanner does move, it's sort of self-tightening down on the disc there. So it should be making it easier as you go along if you've not tightened it down properly. Now, the biggest thing here is you want to make sure you don't go too far. So I'm just giving it a few taps. As you see, I'm not hitting it massively hard. Holding the hammer at the end, not choking it. And getting close now. And there we are, that's that lined up. So yeah, just removing this tool now, get that lifted off, and then we can transport it back to the purifier room and get it refitted. I'll just lift the camera off here, show you that the bowl hood is aligned perfectly with the bowl, and that's how it should have been earlier. Yeah, back in the purifier room now, refit this lifting eye, and I've also left the bowl hood spanner on, which is going to make life easier down the road. Lift this up. I've already cleaned off the spindle, that's nice and dry, and cleaned inside the bowl where it sits on there. Lift it in, and then we've got a bolt to hold the bowl onto the spindle. Get that torqued up. Just a small smear of grease on this O-ring. sits on this bolt. Yeah, left hand pad, got the bolts spanner left on so I could stop the bolt spinning when I torque this down. Off the top of my head I think 50 Newton meters, but just double check the manual to make sure. And you can hear it clicking off there. So that's done, back to the manual, read through what's the next stage. And I'm going to get Wan to start greasing up all the O-rings. Everything. So I got out to get the centrifugal pump from the workshop. I split it up in there, which is something you have to do to be able to reassemble it if you like. So I'll come back now with all the parts split. I didn't get a video of this, but quite straightforward. Just use a little puller, pull the top bit off, get it split, and you've got your regulator ring inside there. So if you were planning to change to run on fuel, for example, you'd change that regulator ring and correlate to the density of feed put through the purifier. So yeah, just fitting this what's called the top nut on again. Worth mentioning that some of the parts on the central heater pump before then, they have O's as well that need to line up with the bolt. But yeah, one of the reasons I keep the hood spanner on again is for tightening this nut. It's just really handy to be able to hold the bolt spinning so you can tighten it up properly. Get a hook spanner and get that tightened down. When you tighten this down, you need to make sure that the bit on top of it doesn't turn with it. If it does, you just have to slap the top nut off and reposition it. So left hand thread again. And I think here it does turn to some degree with it, so I just look at how much it turns with it and then slap it out and reset it so that when I tighten it second time it's going to line up with the bolt. So yeah, a small tap with a hammer. And then loosen it off. I've seen this turn a little bit. It's not perfectly lined up. So back that off. Half turn, one turn, so spin this around and tighten it up again. I'm just explaining for one what we're doing. Just give this a gentle tap with the hammer to tighten it. The last thing you want is this top nut loose and having the bits at the top of your purifier being thrown out. Yeah, that's everything lined up then. You can remove this hood spanner, close the hood and go from there. last tip for everyone is before you close that hood down, you want to make sure you've got nothing inside that shouldn't be, any rags, or sometimes people put them down to the discharge of the sludge tank, and make sure there's no rag in there, no rag underneath the bowl, and no rag in the top of the hood that hinges up there. Quite common that people put rags up in there and forget them. So there we are, the purifier's back together. I've just got this feed water inlet pipe to go back on. Didn't show it in the video when I started it up. I found there was an alarm came for water, and when I checked the control panel, I could see that someone had increased the timer for feed water inlet. So it's like a bit of way, if you like, to try and get more water into it when they should have just cleaned the valve out. But once I set that timer back to what it should be, purifiers, been running fine. and hopefully it'll keep running fine. But yeah, if you have any questions, any problems with your own purifiers, feel free to drop me a message, leave a comment, and yeah, if you like what the video was, please like and subscribe to my channel.